we're here for part 2 of my interview with Martine, and she's going to talk a little bit more about Jackson and his battle with Ewing sarcoma. And the last time we spoke, you were mentioning that he had a pretty big relapse scare. And I wanted you to be able to explain that a little bit more, kind of give us a little bit more detail about kind of what led up to it and also where he's at now.
So in the beginning of June, Jackson started complaining about a little bit of pain in his right leg, and he expressed that he was worried his cancer was going to come back in his right leg and he was going to have 2 bad legs. I mentioned it at the PT. It seemed to be he was pointing in the calf area, so I wondered if he was overcompensating a little bit. So the PT kind of felt around, checked it out, and let's keep an eye on it. And it was still bothering him about 2 weeks later. And so we went to the pediatrician's office, and the practitioner felt around. She thought calf tightness, but she's like, let's do an x-ray just to put everyone's mind at ease. So we got the x-ray the next day. And of course, I got the results on my chart right away. And as I just cannot differentiate between Ewing's relapse or stress fracture. I was not expecting that. So pediatrician called, put in the MRI order. His oncologist called, and he had personally called the x-ray tech who told him that if it were not the radiologist who read the report and told him that if it were not the history of Ewing's, that would have been read as a stress fracture. So he felt pretty confident that it was just a stress fracture, reassured me that this would be an even more rare way for Ewing's to present itself, even more rare than him getting Ewing's in the first place. So that made me feel slightly better. It was a matter of getting the sedated MRI scheduled because he was only 6 and had only ever done sedated MRIs. So that took scheduled out for 6 weeks out. That oncologist had suggested I out to the orthopedist that we had just connected with a month prior for Jackson's scoliosis. So his office had us come in. They did x-rays again and also looked at his left foot, then able to push through the MRIs. So we only had to wait another week and everything came back clear. The feet, both shins and fibulas. So everything was all good there. He was in a boot for 3 weeks treating the stress fracture. So he had an AFO on his left leg. Right leg had a air cast. It was right in the middle of summer camp and didn't get to play any sports or do much, but got to swim and got to do some art classes, which was great. It was an relief. It was stressful thinking that relapse was already back so quickly. Right now, got scans in 3.5 weeks for his next set of 3-month scans. This will be the second ones, and just waiting for that.
Waiting is always the worst, but I'm glad that it came back as well. I mean, I guess a fracture is better than the other way you want to go. So I guess we're happy for the fracture. We're happy for that. We're happy for that. Kids will just be kids, and things happen. So we're glad for that. So you have your scans coming up for 3 months, and then how long will it go before you push out to 6 months and then a year, things like that?
So it's 2 years of 3-month scans. I believe it's 2 years of 6 months, and then.
Okay. Well, we'll just keep pushing for those scans to come out, and I know that we've talked about it, I think, in the beginning, but scan anxiety is a real thing as you get closer to these scans, and it's tough on the parents, tough on the kids, but we just continue to push and hope that everything turns out well. So so how is he doing now? 100%. How is he doing right now?
Great. School started a couple weeks ago. He did soccer. After school activities, he's doing piano, and tonight he has his first drum lesson he's so excited about. And then he's got PT 3 times a week. So he's tired after school. PT right after school has been interesting. Doesn't really want to do much. He just kind of wants to mess around. Doing swim lessons also, which his teacher last week had emailed me and said he just really wasn't listening and not wanting to do anything. I'm realizing the long days of sitting there and listening are a lot on him. It's been a while since he's been in school full time. So, everyone's giving him a little bit of grace, us included.
Right. Well, what I'm hearing is that he's just being a kid. You know what I mean? And sitting still for a long time for and then having to go through all that extra stuff like PT. I think we talked about it before too, that PT was something that JC hated 100%. Did not like it, and I haven't really noticed a lot of kids that are super stoked about it. Here, do this, do that, run this way, throw this ball here, or walk up these steps. Leave me alone and just let me get out of here. But so it's definitely, I'm glad that he's getting to do things now. Drums, that sounds exciting.
So
That
excited.
that sounds phenomenal and loud. So
Mom got him a drum pad while he was going through chemo that he didn't really use much, but it has headphones, and he can like put the headphones on and practice, which is great. We have no space in our house for a drum set, so I'm like, the drum pad is perfect. Put your headphones on and you can practice that way.
I love it. I love it. Just go ahead and let get it out, follow a passion and have fun with it. That's awesome. That was, that was something that my wife, she missed out on in life. We always say that your mother stifled you because she wouldn't let you have a drum set growing up.
My sister always wanted to play the drums, and so in her mid-20s, her then friend bought her a drum set and got her drum lessons for her birthday, and she loved it and took lessons for a little bit. I have no clue where the drum sets are now after a cross-country move, but so excited to play them.
Well, hopefully, maybe she still has them somewhere. Maybe they're somewhere still in the family, and they can be passed down. And that's just a phenomenal thing for your hearing and your stress levels. And that sounds great.
Yeah, the kids had both had keyboards at one point. Mom had gotten them each their own keyboard because they were both taking piano. As we cleaned out Jackson's room after done with treatment, because we wanted to move him back into his bed since he'd been sleeping in our bed the whole time, cleaned out his room, and I was like, we just don't have space for his bed and all the things in his room with this keyboard. So we kept the better of the two and we donated the other one and we put it in the playroom. For a while, when they each had their own, they would just like both be in there like banging out of the keyboards. They had headphones, but he never wanted to put the headphones on.
Heck no, you want everybody to hear what you're doing.
Yes.
That's great. I mean, honestly, he sounds awesome. He sounds amazing, and not letting any of this slow him down, which is probably one of the most empowering things that you can hear. And I had spoke about going to Cure Fest in DC, and you see all these kids, and they're singing, and they're dancing, and they're running their own foundations. Like, it's incredible that they don't let this slow them down. And I love to hear that because, like I said, I think I've mentioned in the past or even on other podcasts that the littlest things can slow us down as adults, right? The man flu is a real thing. I mean, I'm just saying, and it will slow us down and put us down for days on end. And these kids just don't let anything stop them, and I love it.
Yeah, they really don't. It's incredible to see him on the soccer field. We were out of town, so we missed his first two games. We're excited to get to take him on Saturday and watch him actually play with his friends. And my parents sent videos last week, so we got to see a little bit, and it was incredible. I mean, a year ago, weekend, we were back in the hospital with a neutropenic fever, and here he is, AFO, half a bone, and out there scoring goals and getting in, pushing people a little bit as much as allowed. And like, it's like he hasn't missed a beat, which is great. Because it's not, we just had no clue what was going to come post treatment for him.
Yeah. No, you did day to day with this diagnosis with pediatric cancer. It's day to day. You never know what you're going to see the next day. You don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, and it's scary. But to continue to not let it slow you down, and also as parents to really continue to encourage them to just be yourself, just be kids, and don't let it slow you down. And if you're going to, I think, and also if you're going to break down or that type of thing, to try not to do it in front of them. I mean, sometimes it's unavoidable, and just continue to give them that encouragement. So I love to see it. I love to hear the stories of it, and continue to move forward and just give them that to work on. So you had mentioned too in the beginning that you guys were going either have or you were going to start a foundation, and I liked it because it has same name as our daughter JC. Now it's obviously just the letters, but that it was going to be JC Strong. So I would love to hear more about what that is about and what you hope for it to be in the future.
So I actually have it started now. You can see my shirt. I'm actually wearing a logo, JC Strong Fund, and then underneath Stronger Together.
Love
Um,
it.
so I really wanted to do a foundation. Reality of a small business owner and just everything with the cancer plus 2 kids. I was like, I'll do it, but I need to like figure out how to make this work. And somehow I happened upon St. Baldrick's Foundation. I'd been seeing this called Battle Osteosarcoma, and I'd been following their journey. They're based in Hillsborough, California, which is where we're from. Just my husband and I are both from the cities that with Hillsborough. Raised a ton of money for Alejandro Sweet Cordero at UCSF, who I had been in contact with at the beginning of Jackson's diagnosis through a friend, has a friend who worked for him. Just utterly impressed at the amount of money that they were able to raise for his new osteosarcoma lab. So I happened on St. Baldrick's website and they have these hero funds. So I was just browsing through, like seeing what kind of funds they supported and things like that. And Battle Osteosarcoma listed under there. So I immediately emailed, her name is Kelly, about at St. Baldrick's. And I was like, I'd love information. I think this might be a really good for what I want to do. I had a chat with her on Friday evening a couple weeks ago, and I emailed her right away and was like, yep, let's get the paperwork started. So JC Strong Fund is a Ewing's Relapse Research Fund, and will help find relapse trials. And my goal is that we can have some research. So there is protocol. There is a relapse because right now there's none. It's just, a guessing game. I've seen, the relapse kids, sometimes it works and continue life and it comes back. And, the alternative is much worse and much scarier. And couldn't sit here and do nothing knowing that there's a high possibility of relapse for him. So I'm excited. I'm starting fundraisers. I have t-shirts. I'm doing a C's Candy fundraiser. I'm working on doing a holiday wreath fundraiser, kind of all online things right now. And I'm starting to put together in-person fundraisers for next year. July for sarcoma awareness. I want to do tail party, and then September for childhood cancer awareness. I'm going to do a family-friendly fundraiser with bounce house and face painting and making and things like that.
Awesome. I'm excited for you. I love hearing new organizations starting up and having a cause and a mission that we're all after the same thing to end this and to find cures and treatments and stuff. But you have also the mission of Ewing's. You have that special, and I love hearing that new ones are starting up, and it's great. And also, what people don't know, I think, is that all these massive organizations like St. Baldrick's, and I've had the honor of speaking to Kathleen Ruddy, which is their CEO, as well as Sam, which is one of their ambassadors, Sam Marcara, and they're great. A lot of people don't know maybe that they are more than willing to help out new prospective people getting into this space and just reaching out to them and asking for their advice and guidance and things like that. They love that. They're not too big to remember why they started this and why they're involved in it. So advice just on a side note, if you're looking to get into this space for, to run an organization or a foundation around pediatric cancer and things like that, reach out to these organizations, ask for help, because I'm telling you, they are more than willing. I'm not massive, but I'm willing to help too and guide people if they want to. And it's just a collective of everybody with the same type of mission, which is really what CureFest is as well. So, make those connections and reach out and take those risks. So you mentioned finding or relapse trials or relapse treatments and things like that. Now, when you raise money, are you raising money and donating it to research or trials, or are you more directing people or doing both to these types of trials that are for Ewing?
It'll all money that we raise through JC Strong Fund will go to Ewing's relapse trial. St. Baldrick's will do all the legwork in finding the trials for us, which is wonderful. They have a very experienced team who looks through all the applications for grants, and then they'll send emails and let me know, what looks good and some options to pick from if there are options. My assumption with Ewing's relapse is there's not a lot of research going on right now, but hoping if I get enough money raised and they put a call out for relapse trials, that they'll have some requests come in.
That's awesome. And it's awesome to have, again, to have that help alongside of you of an organization like St. Baldrick's that will help find them, because honestly, anybody can search clinicaltrials.gov, but try to navigate it on your own and figure it out. It is a lot of work and it's a lot of effort to put in to try to find things for a specific type of cancer or the area that the clinical trials are being done in. So if you can have help with that, that's amazing, because I've been down that rabbit hole, and it's a lot. It's a lot of work, but but I'm excited. I'm glad to hear that you're doing this, that you got it started, and that you're in the process of getting things together. Isn't it just fun? Look, setting up fundraisers and all this kind of stuff, and it's fun, it's exciting, it's hard work. Let's be honest. It's a lot of work, but it's for when you get into this and the cause and the mission, it doesn't seem like work. It's a passion. And so I hope that Jackson has his hands deep inside of it too, and
So
he's
excited. We've been talking about it. He's been rocking his shirts, all his childhood cancer awareness stuff every day this month. He's worn it to school. And when I got the fund set up and the shirts came last week while we were out of town, he was so excited. He and his sister wore their matching ones today. He wore a different one yesterday. And I was like, this is what I want to do. Like, will you help me? He's like, yeah, I'll help. It's like, great. Also now
of
wants to start his own foundation called Worm a Hug, where they find people to hug worms. Like, okay. I was like, oh, I love your sweetheart. Let's focus on this one first.
all right. So, ladies and gentlemen, next year we're going to be looking forward to Give a Worm a Hug Foundation. Listen, there might be something there. There might be something there. I mean, all I'm saying is grab the domain name now. That is phenomenal. Oh my God, the hearts of these kids is just, it blows my mind every single day. Like this, if they could just inject that into the world right now, man, we would be in such a better place. It is, I love that innocence of that. Um, so
He's always been like that. I have a box of Cliff Bar granola bars in my car as they're off when we're traveling around in our various activities. We'll oftentimes see people on the divides holding up signs. One sign a couple weeks ago said anything can help, and I had no food or anything in my car. I don't carry cash, and he was very upset. So we PT early, and PT's right next to our Hannaford, and we went into the grocery store and we bought some Cliff Bars. Of course, we haven't seen another person with the sign since, but they're in my car ready to go. He can roll his window down and them some food.
it really is truly amazing that the amount of the reality is that they care so much about everybody else, and that is truly something that is, again, missing and genuine, that we really need more of, that they care so much about everybody else. And I think we all love to see it, and I wish we had more of it. So Enya, do you have a website, or where can people find you for this JC Strong Fund?
I'm working on a website. I can't even remember what domain name I purchased. I have a link tree set up right now, our Instagram, which I've now switched over to. It's called JC Strong Fund. There's a link tree, and there's a link to the St. Baldrick's portion. You can donate directly online. People can also send checks. And then the Seas Candy fundraiser up that goes until the end of November. A California local company. My husband actually grew up down the street from their factory, and smelling their chocolates being made all the time is just sure and amazing at the same time. But they're great. They're like stocking stuffers. Last year, a bunch of Seas Candies for the nurses, and we brought little boxes up for everybody. While we're staying in the hospital. We'll do the same this year. And then I have the t-shirt site up too, and I'm working on a holiday wreath, so that'll be on the link tree too. I think it's jcfund. What it was, but I purchased the domain for it already. I just have to have some help setting it up.
All right, it'll be out there, everybody. Is what you're saying. When I post this, when everybody's listening, I will put links into the description, so we'll be able to find at least the link tree for now, and then we'll be able to put the link for the website once it's out there. And hopefully we can get some support rolling in and get that going. We will add it to the resources page on our foundation page as well, and you'll be able to find it there, as well as if I can once I get the link, I can put it in my link tree as well. So we're going to have all the resources out there so that you can go and check them out and send your support their way. And just, it's incredible. And I love hearing it, and I love talking about it. And it seems like it's going to be great. Ewing sarcoma is something that is really tough in kids, and I mean in general, but I've seen it, and it's not something that we need to continue to mess with. We need to fix it. We need to end this. And just like any pediatric cancer, any cancer in general, but with pediatrics, when there's a relapse, it is often far worse than what the original cancer, just like with the treatment. So being able to have trials and things like that, this is really great. And I think it's going to be monumental with what you're doing moving forward. So I congratulate you on that, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
I'm excited too. I just hope that we change something for future kids, and those kids that are going through it right now, if they ever end up with a relapse, that there's some, hope for.
Yeah, having options instead of the doctor coming in and saying, the two words that you don't want to hear. There's three words, which is you have cancer, but the two words are make memories. And when the doctor comes in and says make memories, you know what that means. It's a fancy way of saying something a lot darker, but you don't want to hear that. You want to hear there's no more current options right now, but there are some clinical trials available that we can get you in. Thanks to the work of St. Baldrick's and the JC Strong Fund, we have some options for you. And that's what you want to hear. And so that's what this is focusing on. And I hope that starts to make it in there and they start to find these trials, because there are trials out there happening. But like I said, trying to navigate and find them is not the easiest. So having something like this that helps narrow it down is going to be great. So I'm excited for you guys.
Yeah.
So is there anything else? I know we talked quite a bit in the beginning, and we talked about, PT and OT, and it's not any fun. And now with the relapse, and then we also spoke about him now going out there. And I used to play soccer as a kid, and I love it, and it was great. So I'm glad he's out there running around, being a little rough with the kids too, letting them know what's going on. Is there anything else that we did not cover in relation to his story with your journey, things you're doing moving forward, anything like that?
But one thing I'll know, because I don't know if this is just him because he's kind of so nonchalant about things, or if this is a cancer warrior, cancer survivor attitude, but he constantly references like, oh well, I should have died, so I could have died, so I'm like, oh yes, but you didn't. And so instead of looking at it that way, look at like, I get to live my life and I get to do these things I want to do. He's very nonchalant, like, and it upsets his sister to no end because she's very ahead anyways and high anxiety, and he's like, oh well, I could have died. Oh no, that buddy.
Wow. You know what? I have not heard that before.
Just him.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I know kids in general, but especially these kids have no filter. And then, but wow. You know what? Listen, I'll be honest with you. Sometimes you just got to own the reality of things. And I guess if that's what he's doing, good for him, I guess. But but at the same time, using it to, maybe freak your sister out a little bit is, wow.
Sometimes I wonder if like that's why he's saying it, and I can't. Like, of course, I never write down like what it is that he says it about, but it'll be something, or I'll ask him to be careful, not to hurt himself. Oh, I could have died. Like, we're not going to use that as an excuse to like do something crazy, which I'm sure he's going to do. We were in Disneyland in May. We surprised them with a trip to California, and he really wanted to go on the coaster, which is the one that goes upside down. And he did all the other roller coasters at both parks. And I'm like, I cannot let you go on this ride. It's like, you are 6 years old. It's not how. And he was so mad. My husband's like, just let him go. I'm like, no, I'm not putting him on an upside down ride right now. Like maybe next year when he's a little bigger, still skinny. I can't, like, my anxiety can't handle that. But I was really surprised now that he's like, oh, I could have died, that he didn't try and say that then. Like, I could have died, let me go on the ride.
Jeez. That's just almost not fair. Below the belt is what that is.
Yeah.
This is unfair to use that. But you know what? I feel like he knows that's everybody's kryptonite, and that's what he's going to say. When it gets rough, or if he gets in trouble, wow. Yeah. Good
Beat
luck with.
cancer. He knows too that that's the most important thing in all of our lives. He was on the time with my mother-in-law a while ago during baseball season. And she was like telling him something that my brother-in-law had done, and Jackson was completely uninterested. He was like, well, that's not as cool as a kid who beat cancer, who has half a fibula in a brace, sliding into base at work. And so I didn't hear it, but my husband did and was telling me about it. And I was like, yeah, I can see him picturing that, because whatever my brother-in-law had done was nothing in comparison to Jackson beating cancer and in his eyes sliding into base, which apparently he tripped and didn't actually slide, but made it seem like a slide. I was at practice. I wasn't there either.
My God, this is the most fantastic thing ever. I wish you have got to start recording everything he says, and just like, it's one of my kids do this weird thing now where they both have this. They have a text file on their phone, and when one of them says something funny, like they're a saying that they say all the time, they write it down, and then they'll kind of tell us back, and you're like, yeah, that's what it is. And they do it for me too. Things that I say, they write them down, and that's I feel like that's what we need, like a book of, like, do you call them Jacksonisms? Just
Yeah, when my grandpa passed, he had phrases like rosy hair and curly cheeks if you ate whatever we didn't want to eat. We called them Moisms.
that's it. That's just, it's so funny. It's funny, but it's like he went through something tough, and he's just finding a way to own it, and he's finding a way to kind of use it to his, not his advantage, but making a positive out of it. And that's awesome. And I love hearing that. I mean, it's funny, and he's going to get away with some things because he's going to use it 100%. But good for, you know what? Good for him. Good for him being able to make the best of it, and just be positive. And I'm just excited to see what he does and how much he does going forward, and being part of the foundation. And to be honest with you, I'm excited to meet him one day, and see him giving a speech, and that the end of his speech is, nothing's cooler than what I did. And I just, you know,
Along with every swear word in the book. We also let him swear. I mean, I have cancer. Like, I'm gonna let you pretty much do what you want. He always liked. I've always allowed them to sing like swear words in songs, and then he kind of started to like say them outside of songs, which I was okay. And when he finished chemo, I got him a card at Etsy, and it said, "That fucking shit is finally over." And I let him read it, and I videoed it, and he was so excited. He's like, he has other swear words that he says, and he's tried like calling his sister some swear words. I'm like, no, like that's where we draw the line. But then I was really worried him going into school. I'm like, you can't say swear words at school. He's like, I don't know. And he's like a very good student. He's quiet. He listens. He's respectful. He's helpful. He's friends with everybody. But I'm like, one day someone's gonna piss him off. He's like, fuck you. I'm like, the day I get that call, dude, there are no more swear words on.
right, right. My gosh,
The end of his speech will be a big "fuck you, cancer," or I beat that shit.
what? I am all for it. Like, I am all for it. Listen, my two older kids, I've been trying to get them to cuss in front of me as long as I can, and they won't do it.
Hey.
I know that they do when they're not around dad. I know that they do. As a matter of fact, my older daughter got called out by my 16-year-old, said, yeah, she's got quite the mouth when you guys aren't around. I know that she does. I've listened to her music too. But I've been trying. I'm like, just say it. I'm giving you a check. I'm like a blank check. Just let it out if you want to. And they will not do it. But man, I'll tell you what, that I love that. And you know what? The kids get a break. They get a leave. They get a little bit of rope when it comes to this kind of stuff. And especially these kids, I struggled for a long time. I posted a picture of JC. I wasn't going to do it. And then I finally said, you know what? I don't give a shit. I'm just going to post it. And it's me and her. We're flicking off the camera. And I was waiting. For the shitstorm. And it didn't come. Everybody was so just proud of her. I'm like, you know what? She earned the right to be able to do this, say what she wanted. And she's been through hell. And so, you know what? Fuck it. I'm letting it happen. And so the fact that with Jackson, I mean, he he might be taking the cake with all of this, but it's, good for him. Good for him. It's what it is, what it is. It's cool. Let him have it. I mean, and to be honest with you, when it comes time to, talk to the people that are writing the laws, I say, let it fly. Do your fucking job. I can't wait to see it. And I hope that the news doesn't bleep it out. And if they do, just have your camera recording, because we want to see the real stuff behind the scenes. But you know what? Sometimes you got to be rough, and these kids are the best advocates, and especially when they're unfiltered and just allowed to speak their mind, go for it. I love it.
And hearing from the kids is the most powerful. The ones who have been through it, the siblings who have watched their siblings go through it, and who have lost their siblings because of this. Because yeah, they deserve more than the crappy 4% the federal government decides that they should get. Like no, no.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's no good explanation for it at all. And they can talk to their blue in the face about it, but there's just no good explanation for it. And you one day I hope that it changes, but these children are the best advocates. We can scream and yell, but the kids are the best ones when they're and you hear them speak in DC and they're on the stage and they're 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, 10 years old, whatever. They've been fighting for years, and they're up there speaking. You listen to what they're saying, and you hear what they're saying, and you feel it, and it's incredible. And and the kids get to go up on stage as siblings and as fighters, and they get to go across the stage. And my daughter went up there, that she went up this year, and she said, and I'm the sibling of an angel. And all the other kids come up there, and they tell you that they're brothers and sisters. And to be honest with you, the siblings of cancer kids, and my wife hates when you say cancer kids, but the siblings of them are probably the most inspirational and supportive people that you'll meet, because they are so proud of their brothers and sisters for fighting this. And even when they lose their brother and sister to this, they are so proud of them. And so to see that stage full of people sucks, but it's also a kind of a show of support that these kids are going to have something's going to change moving forward. And it's those kids up on stage and those ones that are speaking, and kids like Jackson and JC, and these kids that will speak their mind because they just don't give a shit and they can say what they want. They're the ones that are going to make the change. So you're inspired by it, even though it's a sad thing. So I look forward to the opportunity one year to have you guys either, here for our events, or to meet you in DC, and to be able to, just, I'm going to ask him some questions, and I'm going to have him say what you want to say, and tell me how you really feel, and we'll see how that goes.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, I would love it. And I have a plan, hopefully for next year sometime in DC. I want to possibly, if I can figure out the logistics, I want to try to have the podcast live there. I want to be able to try to stream it live there. And
Think
where
of
I'll literally,
people you could talk to while you're there,
yeah,
and all the stories, powerful, moving feelings. That would be so incredible.
if I can figure the logistics out. I was there when we were there. I was thinking about it, and like, how can I do this? How can I figure it out? And then I got home and told my wife about it, and she's like, "That's a great idea." Even if I did it just for the one evening, I said, I mean, I'll have it set up like I have it now in my studio. The other mic will be there live, and people can sit down and talk to me. And I think it would be phenomenal. So if I could figure the logistics out and getting my equipment there without it being destroyed, then that's what I will do. And I would love it. And the kids can come up, the parents, everybody, and just sit down and share their stories. And it would be a really cool and eye-opening thing. So hopefully that'll work out.
If you get that done, sign Jackson up. He would love to do that.
100%. I would love to. As a matter of fact, if he ever wants to just come on here and do the same thing we're doing, you let me know, and we'll do a whole episode with just him, and he can talk.
He would. I'll ask him after school today. I bet he would love that. He's interested in getting the out about childhood cancer. I can't remember if already gotten to talk to his class about his cancer when we talked last time. I've gotten childhood cancer awareness shirts for his teacher, and then a coordinating one for him that said warrior. And so his teacher asked him what day he would like her to wear a shirt with him so they could match. And so they picked a day and they wore it. And she asked him if he wanted to tell the class why they had coordinated shirts. And he was like, yeah. So they had a whole discussion about childhood cancer and his journey, and how he had cancer and he lost his hair and he had chemo and all of that. I mean, these are second graders. They're 7. Some of them are new. I think there's maybe 2 kids new to the school district, so they didn't know him last year. He said there's like 3 kids that he had never met before that were in the district. It was amazing. I was like, well, how was that getting to talk about that? He's like, it was cool. It's like, that's so good. So he's definitely he would love to do that and talk about his feelings on everything and what he went through. And what he's doing now.
Yeah, we will 100% make that happen because I would love to hear it. And it's, to hear it spoken from their words and their experience. Like they went through it, right? We did it, but we're just kind of a mouthpiece for them, but they went through it and they can probably describe it. I've always said that these kids know a lot more than they're given credit for. Like they understand it. The fact that they can name off chemo drugs before they can, name off certain other things that they learn in school, or maybe the continents, they can do that and they can explain to you what it made them feel like, and having that inside view. Yeah, we'll definitely do that. I've got a couple interviews coming up that I've got some of kids and survivors and stuff to have them on to speak their mind, but I would love to have Jackson on. And so you let me know if he's ready to do that, and we'll make a time, we'll make it happen.
Yeah, I'm sure he will. I'll check with him today, but I bet he'd be all about that.
That's awesome. Well, I would look forward to it. And so we've covered a lot. We covered a lot the last in the part one, and we've covered a lot now. We've got some good information. I will definitely ask him to say what he wants to say. Also, I'm not going to hold it back because we don't have any filters here, so he'll have his opportunity.
Excited for that. It will be interesting to see if he feels comfortable letting any swear words drop, because he's very polite and proper around 90% of people.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll be looking forward to it either way, but it'll be great. And so we'll definitely do that. Now, so what I do when we get kind of close to an end of a podcast is I always like to ask the guest to give advice to not only families that are currently going through this, but families that maybe have lost a child, but also families that may be diagnosed in the future. Kind of advice, from your perspective as a mom, as a parent, as a doctor and a nurse, because that's what we are, right? A caregiver to your child. Advice moving forward that people can kind of look into and kind of use in their journeys and their, because we came into this alone. So maybe those parents. I know it's tough, but it's I put you on the spot.
No,
I know.
it's okay. I just trying to, there's a lot, right? I mean, take care of yourself as the parent too. We often don't do that, because you have to be not going to be okay. You have to be someone okay to take care of them and make sure that they're okay. Your life is just basically put on hold. Definitely, nothing is known. Lived with our bags packed for months by the door, ready to go at any time. Parents on call to help with our daughter for activities and after school pickups, and told her, like, in the middle of the night, if we have to go to the hospital, I'm not going to wake you. We're just going to go. Just enjoy the time with your kid. It sucks being in the hospital and not a normal life, but so much time with Jackson last year. It was great, and send him back to school and go back to normal life is hard because you're just not with them all the time. I would definitely trade it for the world for him to not have cancer, but time I'll cherish because it was just us. And didn't feel good a lot of the time, but lots of cuddles and special moments, which is nice in, a really shitty situation.